Rick Ann Moore, James Rommel,
Andrew Greenwood.
Susie Qualls.
we could all stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, under council business, Mr. Unbarger.
Hello, good evening, council and other citizens. This is John Baer. John is the president of the Bargersville Main Street, an organization that is committed to promote and try to foster activity in Bargersville. I think you all know we've been working for quite a few years now about our farmers market, and it continues to grow. We're really excited about that. And even to the point where vendors have all come to us, we were going to end this at the end of August. We have June, July, and August every Wednesday night from 5 to 7. They've all asked us to extend it through the month of September. And we have also had many of our citizens has come up to us and asked us to do that. So we're here tonight asking for your approval and support. We're extending it for the rest of September. That means we'll have to have the Main Street closed. And it's worked very well. We work with Julie and all the employees here are very supportive of it. So that's the first thing that we'd like to ask from you tonight.
I'm okay with extending the farmers market, so I'll make a motion to extend the closure of Main Street till September 29th. Marty, is that
Yes, whatever that last Wednesday is.
September 29th, 2021? So the farmers market.
Okay. I got a first, I got a second. All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. None opposed.
Thank you. Now, the next thing we like to ask, in extension of that, trying to promote activity in the town. We know the town's had a fall festival before, and it's just difficult for the year to do it. But we, as a Main Street board, thought it would be important for us to have one kind of fall event, not a parade, not a festival, but just a concert. And we have all the funds. We do not need any funds. We've had great contributors and supporters throughout the town. But John is the president of our Main Street. I'll ask John to kind of go through what we're requesting for a concert.
You were doing so well. I don't know why it was stopped. So, as Marty said, we'd really like to kind of, now that our market is officially extended, we also thought that this would kind of be a nice way to, cap it off with a concert, if you will. And so, logistically, we still have a lot of things that we want to work through, but wanted to get your blessing on it first before we got too far down the rabbit hole, just in case, we didn't have that support. But as Marty said, we've got potentially a band lined up or two bands lined up. Nothing in writing or anything like that. It's just, we're trying to work through a little bit of the details in case you guys have questions on what we're wanting to do. But essentially, we'd love to promote community and continue to promote community downtown and get people down here to listen to good music, have some food. I know we've already discussed just tentatively with Malaron and Taxman as well about setting up, a beer garden and things of that nature. And so just looking for your support primarily, as Marty mentioned, with the use of a stage, but then also with being able to close off Main Street for the duration. I think right now we're looking at about 3 p.m. to 10 p.m.
What's the date?
Oh, October 2nd, sorry.
Just by consensus, David.
That's fine. Sure. I'm good with that. I'm glad to hear it.
Yes.
Anyway,
Thank you.
Great. That was a lot easier.
Your market's great too.
Yeah, we've had a ton of momentum this year. Last year, I think, was our peak season before this year. And we had 23 vendors. Right now, we're up to 46. I actually had 2 more contact me today about setting up. So we get those in, we're 48. So just a ton of great feedback from, the community as well. So it's been a really huge success for us. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right, next on the agenda is a purple ink proposal. Do I have, everybody's received the contract and read it over. Kim's not here tonight, I know we've had conversations, so do I have a motion or any questions?
Move to approve the purple proposal as presented.
Okay, I have a motion. Mr. Wall?
Do we want to do not exceed 45,000?
Oh, yes. Do not exceed 45,000 for the next 6 months.
First, Mr. Well, second by Ms. Moore. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. Aye. None opposed.
Mr. President, I'd like to approve Apex as the town's benefits broker.
I have a motion on the table to approve Apex.
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Thank you, sir. Okay. Nothing under other council business. Let's move on to ordinance resolutions. Ordinance 2021-10. Okay. Okay.
This was the moment my laptop decided it didn't want to connect to the Wi-Fi again. So ordinance 2021-10 as an ordinance amending areas of the zoning map from R3 medium density residential to R4 high density residential. This was a request by Arbor Homes for a development known as the Copper Meadows subdivision. This was heard at the July 19th Planning Commission meeting at a public hearing. This did receive a unfavorable recommendation from the commission at that meeting. Staff's happy to answer any questions, and I believe the petitioner's here. If the council has any questions of them. This is an introduction tonight.
Any questions from the council?
What was the concern of the planning commission? What was the main concern?
What was the town's recommendation on this?
Staff's recommendation was also unfavorable. I believe I did include this original staff report in your packet for your reference.
If the petitioner would like to say anything, feel free.
Hi, Caitlin Dofer, a Senior Entitlement Manager for Arbor Homes. To address the concern about density, the presentation that we had prepared tonight, and we're happy to make it at another council meeting, addressed those concerns. The property is zoned R3 currently, and so we did put together an R3 site plan to compare to the R4 site plan that we proposed. The density is exactly the same at 102 lots. So we can go ahead and plat the property today for 102 lots. In that case, it would be Arbor Homes product. What we are proposing with the rezoning to R4 is the destination product, which is an empty nester product. Some of the other concerns we heard at Plan Commission included traffic, which traffic would generally be less with an empty nester product because empty nesters tend to make less daily trips. And it also impacts the schools to a lesser extent as well. So that was our thought process with rezoning to R4 and having the empty nester product. I'm happy to answer any other questions too.
Are you going to make a presentation tonight?
I can.
I mean, since you're here, if you want to go ahead and make a presentation, we'll go through that. We'll go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Is the PowerPoint loaded up? Oh, perfect. Okay, just to go through who we are very quickly, we are Arbor Homes. We are one of the largest Central Indiana builders, and we have been building for the last 27 years. Up until a few years ago, we were family owned and operated. In 2018, we joined the Berkshire Hathaway Company of Families. This is the property that we're discussing tonight. It's northwest of 2 Cent Road and State Road 135. Oak Rail subdivision is to the west, and then Summer Gardens duplexes is to the northeast. The current zoning on the property, as I mentioned, is R3. You have commercial to the east and industrial to the south. The future land use map identifies this for moderate density residential, which allows for up to 6 units an acre. And there's a little bit of history to this property. Back in 2019, council did approve a rezoning to R4. This was for single family and duplexes, and there were some commitments with that rezoning. Unfortunately, those commitments were not recorded, and so the rezoning reverted back to R3, which is what it is currently. This proposal a couple years ago included 145 maximum lots. And what we are proposing today is a maximum of 102 single-family lots. The lot sizes would be 64 feet wide, and depth would be ranging from 120 to 126 feet deep. The lot sizes overall are closer to the R3 lot size minimum, which is 8,000 square feet. So from a lot size perspective, we are closer to R3. The only difference is the lot width. And the smaller lot width is more conducive to the empty nester product, which we are proposing with this rezone. Empty nesters generally want a smaller yard to maintain. And so that was our thought process with this. Also, with the narrower lots, you get more open space at about 27%. And looking at the density in the surrounding area, we are at 2.65 units an acre, which is in line or less than with the surrounding subdivisions. And to touch on our product really quickly, this is our destination product. It's an empty nester product, so all ranch homes with loft options. There are 5 floor plans ranging from about 1,500 to 3,200 square feet. Each floor plan has 6 different elevations, siding color, and masonry options. This will be HOA managed. It'll be low maintenance. Irrigation is included. Grass is included. And our HOA will also restrict playgrounds, trampolines, and basketball goals to further ensure that this is age targeted. And here are some examples of our floor plans. Architectural styles range from craftsman, traditional, and Tudor. Every single home buyer gets to go through our design center with professional design staff. It's a 3,900 square foot design area where they get to choose every single individual item in their home. And with this rezone, we have added commitments on that as well. We have a lot maximum, so 103 lots maximum. This is limited to single family only. The floor plans will be ranch floor plans with bonus room option. We will be prohibiting play sets, trampolines, basketball goals to ensure that this is an empty nester targeted community. We've put a maximum on the density, a minimum on the lot width, and a minimum on the lot area to ensure that we are proposing that we will build out exactly what we are proposing. And as I mentioned, we did put together an R3 site plan just to show exactly what can be built there today compared to what we are proposing with the R4 site plan. As you can see, the lot numbers are exactly the same. The R3 does allow for 70-foot wide lots, while the R3 allows for 70-foot wide lots, while the R4 is 64-foot wide lots. Overall, though, the open space with the R4 is greater at that 10.5 acres. Compared to today, it would only be 8.9 acres of open space. And this is the destination product on the left, which is what we're proposing. compared to what is currently allowed and what we would build under the R3, which is the Arbor product. And then just to touch on the comprehensive plan does call for sustainable growth, especially appropriate to adjacent land uses. It also calls for aging in place options, which we believe the destination product meets. And the other decision criteria includes keeping in mind the current conditions and character of the surrounding properties. We believe that we meet that. Most desirable use for the land. The comp plan does call for single-family residential here, and we believe we meet that. Conserving property values, we believe that we meet that as well. And then responsible growth, like I mentioned, this is designated as future residential. It fulfills the goals of the 2040 comp plan, and it can be served by utilities. And that wraps up my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
What's the base price of the homes?
Base price is harder to determine because buyers choose different ranges of options, but looking at average price, projecting out 2 years from now, we would probably be in the low to mid 300s.
Where have you done this destination product before?
It's currently being built in Greenwood at the retreat. There's 2 models open if anyone would like to walk through them.
Nowhere else in the state.
I believe we have
Finished it.
that we finished. No, it's also being built in Westfield right now. That subdivision is currently under development. And we are proposing it in Noblesville as well.
What's the average what's the square foot MDS or?
It ranges from 1,500 to 3,200, I believe.
And these are age targeted but not restricted.
Correct.
How come?
So restricting, being strictly age restricted is a different legal approach to the HOAs. It requires restricting grandchildren and how many weeks they can visit a year, whereas I'm sorry, if that's not true, then feel free to.
Exceptions to the age restriction that allows you to do just those things.
Okay. But age targeted is what we are proposing because it is a simpler HOA setup.
But there's no guarantee that this then becomes an over 55 community other than just the size, and you're not going to allow playgrounds and trampolines and basketball courts.
Correct. This product does attract more empty nester buyers compared to the typical Arbor product,
There's
though.
nothing that makes that certain for us. If we were to pass it, there's nothing that guarantees that it is an age restricted, and it meets. That's about the only thing up there that I think it really talks about that it meets in our comprehensive 2040 plan.
Where's the retreat located?
I'm not sure about the exact location off the top of my head, but I can always pass that along to staff to then pass on to
Can you,
council.
right now, that's the only one you have under construction in Westfield and solar development.
Correct.
Is this the first time in this type of product for this?
Arbor.
I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I apologize. I'm still on the. This is the first time you've done this product with this restrictive empty nester.
It's age target.
Age targeted, is this
Yes.
the first, besides the retreat, is this the first?
Besides the retreat in Westfield, yes.
Yeah, okay. Unless it's still development.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is, if there's a market for it, other than the size of the lot, why do you not do the same product on an R3 and age targeted that product on an R3? besides, you get more green space?
The
So are you doing it just to scare us with the R3, I guess, or?
No, so the lot size with the R4 is more attractive to empty nesters because it's a narrower lot.
So I guess that still doesn't answer my question as to why you can't do that on an R3.
An R3 is a larger lot.
I know, but,
Then you can have side loads and not
right,
front facing garage.
front facing garages.
The empty nester product does not come side load. It's only a front load product.
Your empty nester product, that this is the third time you've ever developed it or tried to develop it. You're just saying, hey, we're only gonna build this. There's no flexibility in your floor plans or in your design.
Currently, no.
Because the lots are so small.
No, because they're not well.
Right.
Yeah.
How many lots on R3 with the bigger lots? How many homes?
102, the same as R4.
Same as that. But what they're doing.
Joe, if they were to develop it under the R3, what would the architectural standards be? Would they be any different than the R4?
Be the same architectural standards. I would also ask if the drainage patterns for that particular piece of property were taken into account with the R3 layout.
They were.
Who's your engineer?
Structure Point. Actually, I'm sorry, on this one, it's HWC Engineering.
If it's the same amount.
Have you reviewed their proposed plan to make sure that it actually does meet?
We received that plan with their presentation yesterday afternoon.
If it's the same amount of lots, same homes, why restructure? Why reinvent the wheel? Why put it here? Why do the age restrictive? Why
So-
not just go ahead with the R3? Right? It's the same amount of homes.
It's a great question. When we originally met with staff before diving too deep into the site plan and figuring out if a rezone was achievable, we talked about the empty nester product, reading the comp plan, and that it calls for age-targeted product or aging in place. We thought that destination would be a good fit. And so knowing that this property was previously rezoned R4 and that the town was supportive of that, we thought it would be a good fit. And so that's why we went down this path.
We're talking about the width of the lots being,
6 feet.
yeah, I was gonna say it's 6 feet difference, 3
Mhm.
feet, yeah.
Square footage of the house on R3 for the arbor product. What's
Mhm.
that?
For the arbor product, I believe that's 1,200 to 3,200.
12 to 30, and what's the average?
They can build a 1,200 square foot home under R3. Or is that the first floor minimum?
Just a second.
And whatever the requirements are for R3, we would meet that.
R3 requirement is a
Yeah, you wouldn't.
1,400 square foot,
You did.
1 story, 1,100 square foot, first story with an 1,800 square foot total for a two-story.
What's the average, what's the price range? 1,200 square foot. Where is that? 1,200 square foot.
It's easier to give an average, so the average for that would probably be high 200s, low 300s.
1,800.
The 1,200 square foot is a ranch. So, Joe, you said that the ranch was 1,100 square feet?
1,400.
1,400, okay.
Is there any other questions? Outside of everything else, I think Parkersville does need, you have a need for 55 and older. Right. I know, no, I'm saying that outside of this, that never
Yes.
seems to be brought
Yes.
to us. Why, and I know it would fill up, so I just,
That's why I don't understand why they can't do the same product on the
Yeah.
R3. She's not answered that other than the length of the lot,
The width,
the
but
width of the lot, yeah.
yes, that is our reasoning.
is there any other questions? Well, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're not gonna this is not a public hearing, but if there's any public that would like to come up from the public, just say your name and your address, and we'd love to hear from you on this topic. Is there any, come on and let us,
You gotta swear me in, right? Or not?
it's not a public hearing, so we
Public
don't.
hearing.
All right. My name is Dave Cecil. I live in the Summer Gardens addition, 349 Camellia Lane. A couple of things. First, I want to tell you, Caitlin was gracious enough. I emailed her because they had I talked to them afterwards, and they had kind of talked about this additional plan, but I didn't get it, and no problem, but very professional. I can't say enough there. Just a little history, and then we're going to go on real quick. Originally, the one that she speaks of 2 years ago when it was proposed, the Planning Commission voted 5-0 no. Somehow or another, it came to the town council. There were some commitments, and I'm not saying anything wrong was done because I've actually seen the commitments, but kind of without any discussion, I actually raised my hand that night. Nobody could talk. So thank you all for letting me do that tonight. Anyhow, it was a 5-0 yes. I still can't believe that happened in Bargersville. I really can't. That bugs the heck out of me. So any justification for the last zoning, I don't think is very good, in my opinion. There were a lot of people at that the original hearing. I was actually a little disturbed that so many people were here and upset. Anyhow, the only thing that I would say with all this, that two things, I would suggest if they want to go with the R4 one, and I don't understand exactly why you couldn't make R3 with a little less homes. It looks like we're taking up a lot of extra space to me, sort of forcing your hands. But why not 2 extra commitments? Number one, over 55. I live in Summer Gardens. I can tell you, people don't even put the stuff on the market. It goes so fast. It is unbelievable. I'm not a real estate person or anything, but I can just tell you that, yeah, it's possible. And it could, hopefully we can have a walking trail and get downtown. The second commitment that I think ought to be sold, number one, absolute demand, over 55 or forget it. This age restricted is just kind of like, I don't know why you even do it. Either you do it or you don't. And then the second is, why not put a clause in, which is in ours that we had to do, that was added by the residents at some point, no rentals. I'm telling you, those two things would make a big difference, and I doubt seriously that it would affect sales. I may be wrong. I'm not. So those are my points. I would just
Or legal. There's
Maybe.
something about rentals, we can't legally say that.
It's in our HOA. I mean, they added it though.
You haven't?
Just added it in, we just added it
Yeah,
to
in
MI's
mines.
PUD
Mhm.
on the Sawyer Farm.
They did it.
They
They
had
did their
it.
own.
I don't know why you couldn't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, the HOA can do it on their level. That's after the HOA takes over. Yeah, they can.
Yeah, okay. Encourage you to consider.
There's other.
This is the time to consider that. How's that? Those are my two things. And again, I want to tell you, this lady was very, very professional with me, and I appreciate everything. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Cecil,
Mr.
appreciate
Cecil.
it. Is there anybody else that'd like to come in? Okay, we'll just continue to move on. And this is first reading, right? Is there any, just the intro? Okay. Okay. And we'll just move right along. Okay, Joe?
My smiling face tonight. As a side note on your last item, the retreat by Arbor is north side of Main Street near the east of 65 near Trotter's Point and the estate at Rock Lane Ridge in that area. Next item on your agenda is ordinance 2021-11. This is an ordinance amending areas of the zoning map from C3 general commercial to R3 medium density residential. This is 1.64 acres on the east side of the Harvest Grove neighborhood. Let's US or State Road 135 is on either side of Harvest Grove Lane. This was at the July 19th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. Did receive a favorable recommendation. Staff's recommendation was also favorable, considering the configuration and size of properties. This is also here for an introduction this evening. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but we have a representative here for this also.
And is this road frontage on State Road 135?
It does have road frontage on State Road 135, yes.
Road frontage is,
125.91, I think is what. Yeah, plus minus.
It's currently zone C3.
Early zone C3.
That one.
Both sides, right?
Both sides,
of the
yes.
street.
North side and south side of Harvest Grove Lane, yes.
So what is
One-
this
one-
other
one-
front?
135 linear frontage and that's 160.
Okay.
As a side note, staff did look at the right-of-way requirements on State Road 135, as there's a early stages project to widen that portion of the road through NDOT. The dedicated right-of-way for 135 is sufficient for that widening as it sits.
And Joe, I know the town had a recommendation. And it's still over 1 acre, and I've seen this is road frontage.
I think, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I think our thought was being under an acre on each side. That was our thought process. I think
They're
they're
proposing residential there.
residential. I think we're 0.8, 0.7, 0.8 acres on either side.
Who owns, is there property that's zone commercial north of it?
South of
Is
it,
it south of it?
south of it is commercial.
South is the Duke Development.
North, I believe, is commercial.
It's commercial on either side
Commercial on either side
of the proposal.
and it's not developed commercial.
C3
It's
Correct.
C3 to the north, C3 to south.
how much acreage is
To the north,
over 10 on each? No.
directly to the south is the South Grove Commons Development.
Okay,
The north is Carol Ross property. It's 4.18 acres.
or has there been any applications for either of those properties or?
The last application we saw for the South Grove Commons was kind of to the north and the west, or the south and the west of this piece, or the Primrose Daycare. I think that was about an acre and a half.
Yeah, so it can be done. And I get the lot small, but it can be added with other, that could happen, it could, so I'm probably not gonna be too akin to taking away any kind of commercial frontage. consistent that way, so anybody else has anything else to
I
say?
had heartburn.
Okay, I just,
About
with it?
doing it. After I talk to developers, you can develop that. There's enough to do that. There's enough that can happen on the south side and the north side of that property. So I had regrets, I'll just say straight up, after a favorable recommendation. And after looking at it a little bit closer, I'm not in favor of.
And that happens. That was Mr. Cecil was saying, because I was on that when we went from unfavorable to favorable, because you get new information.
You do get information.
And you do some research and you can change from plan commission vote to council. That's why we have
And our
steps.
comp plan, right, correct. Our comp plan strictly says it's commercial through that area.
Correct.
And I think staying consistent with that, more information came to me. It is developable. The fact that they can't sell, it's not my problem. It's not the town's problem.
Understand. I'll profess to be a land use policy expert, not so much a development expert.
right,
So just to let them know that I am not in favor of.
I think it's a direct contradiction to our comp plan and everything that we're trying to do in terms of maintaining commercial corridor on 135. So, wishing them ill will, and I hope that they're able to sell it and develop it. But to put 3 homes on there, I think is a mistake on each side of there. From our perspective, there's a reason why it was zoned commercial when it was brought to us. So, do we need any? I'll make a motion to, I guess, to deny the zoning map amendment
I'll second.
for Harvest Grove commercial map amendment.
okay. I have a motion.
Do we have to waive anything to do that first? We need to make a motion.
First reading.
Motion to consider.
You make a motion to consider, then you vote yea or nay.
I'll make a motion to consider the motion.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
Second to consider, all in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to consider motion.
Motion to consider the motion to deny.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye, none opposed. Do I have?
I'll make the motion to deny.
Is there any opportunity to speak?
We already have a public hearing, right? I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and that's our fault. Go ahead, this petition, just say your name and.
Yeah, Bob Wildman, representing the petitioner, which is DS Development, which is a Greg Allen company. We are commercial developers. We prefer to develop commercially, but we've owned this property for 15 years. Nothing's happening. And given the location, right adjacent to the existing Harvest Grove and the size of these 2 lots, we just don't see it developing in that fashion. It could sit there for another 15 years and nothing will happen. And that in the discussions with the Plan Commission and the Harvest Grove folks that were there, their preference is to see it develop as homes rather than as commercial. The residents I'm talking about, the Harvest Grove residents. We also own commercial ground just up the street. We have 16 acres. We used to own 2 lots on either side of the entrance to Somerset. They're still sitting there undeveloped. Our 16 acres undeveloped just north of this. So we just don't see this as a viable commercial spot right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I
Appreciate
mean,
it.
I'll say it. I mean, I appreciate his sentiment, but we've zoned it commercial for a reason, and
We just can't be, Burgersville, unfortunately, we just can't be all residential.
Okay, so
so we have a motion to consider the motion. I'll make the motion to deny the zoning map amendment from Harvest Grove commercial map.
okay, I have a motion. Mr. Greenwood,
I'll second.
I have a second by Ms. Pauls. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. None opposed. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. Okay. Moving right along. Nancy,
Earlier, I'm bringing you an ordinance to abolish some dormant funds and move money over to the town's electric general funds, operating funds, so they can use the money. We're going through things like that. So as I find them, I'll be bringing hopefully more found money. But these have laid dormant for so long, so many years. I can't even find ordinances on them where they were initiated. So.
Okay.
I move to adopt ordinance 2021-12.
I have a motion. Do you want a second by Ms. Moore? All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. We appreciate it.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 2021-13, an ordinance to adopt a plan for the utilization of the American Rescue Plan.
I have a motion. Ms. Moore.
I'll second.
I have a second. Ms. Cole. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Say aye. Any opposed? Well, Julie, you're gonna have to do that for me.
This is the easiest ordinance I've ever done, so thank you.
We talked in the advance, I didn't know you were gonna.
Julie, if you want to sit down, Dustin's got this.
I appreciate the assistance, sir.
Overachiever.
Thank you. Good evening. First item is Resolution 2021-10. This is a resolution establishing a general fund reserve policy.
I move to adopt resolution 2021-10.
I have a motion. I have
Second.
a second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed?
And we have Resolution 2021-11. This is a resolution establishing a rainy day fund reserve policy.
Motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-11, establishing a fund, unrestricted fund balance, or whatever it says here, for the rainy day fund.
I'll
Motion
second.
by Mrs. Moore, second by Mrs. Pauls. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Okay, I have, let's see, the minutes, regular meeting on July 27, 2021. Has everybody reviewed them? Have any corrections or questions? Okay, how about a motion?
Move to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on July 27th.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Moore. Second. By Ms. Moore. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. None opposed? Okay, the minutes from the special meeting on August 3rd. Everybody had a chance to look at them.
Motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on August 3rd, 2021.
Motion, Ms. Moore.
Second.
Second, Ms. Roy. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye, none opposed? Okay. Julie, is there anything else for you?
No, sir.
All right. Joe?
There you go.
I need that soundtrack for my run in the morning.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
So first item is the transfer of ownership and acceptance of bonds for Saddle Club South, Section 2B. As you recall, this was on the agenda last meeting. It wasn't ready. We've since performed additional inspections out there and are okay with the improvements. The asphalt surface on the curb's been replaced. The intersection's open. And to that, the accurate summary of your bonds is going to be on page 75. I did have an update, and I wasn't able to go back and delete the outdated items. The numbers are all the same. This just reflects the updated inspections. So staff would actually recommend the council accept the transfer of ownership for storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and water distribution, along with their associated maintenance guarantees, and the additional maintenance guarantees and performance guarantees for Saddle Club South, Section 2B. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
This acceptance of the bond or this transfer of ownership?
Transfer, and then you would accept the bonds.
Okay, so we need one motion.
We need one or two.
One motion on the transfer and then a motion on acceptance. Two.
I need to combine it in one.
Okay.
You can transfer and accept
Okay.
bonds.
That's what my question
I
was.
will move to approve the transfer of ownership of the maintenance bonds and also the acceptance of the maintenance bonds and release of performance bonds. The asphalt surface.
Have a motion by Mr. Doyle,
Second.
second by Ms. Moore, birthday girl. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. And opposed. Throw that in on the record.
Thank you.
Anything else, Judge?
One other item on Saddle Club South, Section 2A. As you recall, with the split and the road improvement, we've allowed 2A to be performance bond on asphalt surface. That's not a typical practice. At this point, the surface has been placed and is acceptable. So the developer has requested switch those over to for you to accept the maintenance guarantee and release the performance guarantee for 2A.
Gotcha. I will move to approve Saddle Club South Section 2A, the acceptance of maintenance bonds and the release of the performance bonds for the asphalt surface.
The motion by Mr. Doyle,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Coles. All in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye. Aye. And opposed.
That's all I had.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
A busy guy lately.
Absolutely.
Mr. Bertram.
I don't have
Give us
anything.
something.
I don't have anything. I can tell you, Quentin Brown is back to work. His leg injury, he got full release now, so.
Does he have a car?
I mean, we're sharing one, but we're getting there. That's
You said October, you're gonna
October.
get some cars.
They should be here in October.
So no wrecks, nothing like that. You can't do nothing like that.
Jesus.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Killinger.
Good evening. One item tonight. This is,
Are you
Relation-
feeling okay?
yes, but it's a big item, so.
Yes. You want to push your luck.
All right.
I was wondering why it's just one.
He had 20, this is why.
So this is in regards to our easement acquisition project for Speedway for our I-69 water main project. This went to court and we've had property appraised, 3 appraisers, and the court has issued an order for a certain dollar amount that we have to post to the courts. And I believe NDOT is going to continue to fight over the value, but regardless, we have to.
You're gonna step in?
I don't know for sure.
Okay. Because I filed a motion for an exception, requesting an exception to the Board of Appraisers. Basically, if we don't like it, we ask that it be set aside, no matter be set for trial.
Can you go over the reason for the increase in price?
They feel that the property owner is losing commercial property with this easement, and they won't be able to build or do anything with the area that we are taking for the easement. So
How much land do you think?
It's a pretty wide, it is a wide easement.
yeah, I don't have the exact amount, but it is
all for NDOT's reimbursement is for all.
right.
So we have,
And we have that in writing from NDOT. Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
We do have it in writing. We say
Kind of,
yes.
sort of.
we post this, and then we have the trial. In the meantime, we go ahead and take title to the easement and start the work, and then we have the trial, and it's just settling on,
The amount.
is the amount really what was appraised, or is it somewhere less?
What's the risk that it's more? And insurance fees.
And appraiser's fees? Should be.
But this is all reimbursed by.
Yeah,
It's all
so,
help NDOT out.
right, we're up to, with appraisers and what they believe the land is worth, we're at 185,140. That we'll have to, I need authorization to have the clerk's office, accounting office cut checks.
That's the complete amount, 185.
185,
That's what the
140.
Value and.
Yeah.
What was our value?
And then it gets held by the court.
And it gets deposited with the clerk, doesn't get released until trial damages. But in the meantime, we take title to the easement. We can start
We can do work.
and work on it.
What was our
So
value?
sorry. The court, so you're representing us and NDOT's also gonna supplement?
Yeah, it was me. I mean, Kevin and I had talked, and the word was we'll post it, but NDOT wants to find it, so we've been all along doing all this on behalf of.
Yeah, my guess it's us fighting it.
They haven't-
Up until this point, it's been us taking care of this for them, so.
So my guess is it will be me, Ellen, me doing it.
I think the original amount was
30.
30,000.
Oh, so we're, the gaps there.
Yeah.
That's what I was asking.
Yes.
Where's the gap?
Yeah.
It's only
It got
30.
very valuable.
It started, it was 30.
30.
It got very valuable, very fast.
Mhm.
For what it's worth, when we did the site visit, the appraisal, NDOT is condemning their actual gas station site because they have to move it east,
Closer to the church.
closer to the church, so closer to where the easement is going to be. And,
Are they putting lots of
Speedway was
business in
asking
here?
for $2 million for that state, for having to condemn their existing, it was $1 million or $2 million is what they said.
Is it usually loss of business too? Is that part of the valuation?
I'm guessing it's the
Okay.
building. I mean, they're gonna build it new, and have to build and move their tanks. And this was the quick conversation I had with the engineers for,
Well, I don't just by hearing what's on the other side, I don't see them settling. So I think this is going to route. So
Is it Speedway corporate or is it like a franchisee or?
Speedway America, it's Speedway Corporate, that's why.
those on staffers got to make
Is there any more certainty we can get from NDOT?
It's written commitment from them that
Or do we
this is
get- or does it-
reimbursable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
David, how do we guarantee that?
They could probably provide us a letter
Yeah,
based off these facts that we can submit for reimbursement.
So right now, it's just.
Post-trial, I would imagine. I don't know when trial
now
is
it's
scheduled.
based on emails and conversations
Yeah,
back
that's
and
what I was
forth
saying.
that they're saying they'll pay.
Mainly
for it.
phone conversations.
Right,
Yeah.
so,
I would say a motion based on
Can we-
written.
yeah, I mean, can we
Yeah.
approve this subject to obtaining some kind of written confirmation that NDOT will reimburse? Because this is a lot of money. This
Don't we
is,
want attorneys?
not that $30,000 isn't a lot of money, but 185 is a lot.
Well, two, we're,
Five times as much as we were,
More
than 6 times.
plus we have expenses on our side.
How quickly do we need? That's probably the issue, right? Timing, getting something in writing from NDOT.
the court has issued the order directing the clerk to accept the funds. There's no deadline as to when you have to do it. They have, from the moment the report of appraisals is filed, you have 45 days to file an exception to it. The town's exception has been filed. Nothing has come from Speedway, whether they think it's too low. whether they file an exception to court that they don't like for Board of Appraisers, that they don't think it's enough money. They still have a little bit of time to do that.
Right, but, so the, who's pushing the time? NDOT is because they need the easement to do the work.
We have right of entry right now.
Yeah,
We
so
can do the work now.
right of entry to do surveying, tree clearing, because the bat study has been cleared and we're okay to take care of the tree clearing.
Easy up there.
As far as in constructing facilities on the property, I'm not sure that we have
We
that.
don't, that wasn't right of entry.
Right, so it's NDOT pushing us to go, so then we can say, well, if you want to go, then you need to send
Need to
us,
sign this letter.
you need to send us a letter in writing that you'll reimburse us for this.
Yep.
And say that my approval is, I can't release the funds and the board until I have this.
You could push the approval of this out until the next meeting. There's nothing, you're not gonna get,
That's what I was getting ready to ask.
you're not, no sanctions are gonna be issued or anything from the court that you have deposited.
So yeah, just if we could get a letter signed that NDOT will reimburse once this is completed through the courts.
We're on some of those phone
Oh,
conversations,
it's not
we're trying to figure this out early on, so.
For me, it's not like a trust thing, it's just,
Oh, I know.
you know, that,
Trust but verify.
well, I mean, it'd be nice to have something in writing when it's 185,000 or more, because it could go up.
This came in with,
Because we already went from 30 to 185. The next jump is to like 350. And then NDOT's like, we didn't really mean that. That guy no longer works here.
Since we can go ahead and do things within the
Love that
easement, we don't need to put a we just need to get the letter, if you can work with Dave to get the
Yeah,
letter.
we can get a
We don't need to
letter.
put a dollar amount on it today, or do we?
well,
Or
at some
next time.
point, you will have to deposit. if
You will
want
have to.
If you want to take the easement,
Take it,
you'll
right?
have to deposit the funds either NDOT says, no, we don't want to fight it, we'll go ahead, here's the 183, withdraw your exception, or they'll say, here's the money, we will reimburse you, proceed with, fighting the appraisal. But somewhat, that money has to be deposited with the clerk for you to take title to it. If you want to take title now, if you want to wait for the whole process to finish, meaning we have the trial and then the final amount is entered, you have that option, but that's probably not what NDOT, we don't even have a trial date yet. I filed the exception. My guess is the court is letting 45 days run to see if there's any additional filings, and then we'll get a trial date. So if you wanted to start work now, you have to deposit funds with the clerk to actually construct.
We're not doing the work, it's in.
It's NDOT, but if NDOT wants to do the work,
Right.
yeah.
So we get deposit funds. We can approve it based upon written confirmation.
I mean, you could wait for 2 weeks for the next meeting.
Let's do that.
Okay.
That's good. I would suggest.
Kevin, go get something right.
We know you look top of your dog.
3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And if for some reason there's some super delay, we have to post it for whatever reason, then we can address it the next meeting.
All right, that's all I've got. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
You.
Appreciate it. Is there any board update from
Dan's birthday.
That's the board update?
I think Todd should have to sing happy birthday.
I already did.
You guys missed it.
Anybody? Anything?
Make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
That's it. Yeah.